drawn and redrawn, the making of India's internal boundaries. Hi, and welcome back to India State Stories.
In the previous episode, we got an overview of the process of integration. Today, we will be looking at the 4 key legal documents that define the complex process of integration of princely states, which are the Instrument of Accession, the Standstill Agreement, the Merger Agreement, and the Covenants. Each of these played a unique role in shaping the evolving relationship between princely states and the new dominion of India, allowing for their smooth absorption and integration. More details are in the show notes below. Now let's dive into the conversation.
Imagine India in 1947. You've got this huge subcontinent, just gained independence from Britain, but it's also, fractured.
Fractured is right. Into over 565 princely states.
Exactly. Each with its own ruler, its own ideas, sometimes even its own army. So think about the challenge. How do you create one single unified nation from that patchwork?
A monumental task, really.
That's what we're diving into today. We're looking at the strategies, the diplomacy, sometimes even the force used to stitch India together. Our mission here is to pull out the key insights about the main players behind this huge historical moment, how they stopped India from breaking apart, essentially.
And our sources give us a really nuanced view. It wasn't just one person. It was a collaboration, though often a tense one.
Between people like Sardar Patel, V.P. Menon, Mountbatten, Nehru, K.M. Munshi.
Right. A complex mix of personalities and approaches. Their actions fundamentally shaped the India we see today.
So let's set the scene a bit more. Independence, 1947. But the British leaving meant their control over these princely states just vanished.
That's the lapse of paramountcy. Suddenly, these 565-plus rulers had choices. Join India, join Pakistan, or maybe go it alone.
And many were definitely dreaming of independence, weren't they? Which posed a massive threat of fragmentation.
A huge threat. And the challenge was amplified because every single state was different. Size, wealth, how they were run.
So no single blueprint would work.
Absolutely not. Each needed a tailored approach. The core strategy became this mix of, diplomatic persuasion, appealing to shared interests, history, but also the implied threat, or sometimes the actual use of military force if persuasion failed. Just the sheer number of states made it incredibly difficult, fraught with challenges as you'd expect.
Okay, let's talk about the person often seen as the main architect. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, the Bismarck of India.
A fitting title. Patel was a lawyer, a key figure in Congress. He earned that name Sardar, meaning chief, leading the Bardoli Satyagraha back in 28.
A non-violent tax protest, right?
Yes. And it showed his skill in organization and practical action. He wasn't just an ideologue.
And his vision for integration.
Extremely pragmatic. He famously said, for India to have true Swaraj, self-rule, the red and yellow colors on India's map have to be made one. Simple as that.
So no room for independent princely states in his vision.
Not really. He saw rulers as trustees, not absolute monarchs. He insisted they had to bring in responsible, democratic government and guarantee rights for their people.
Even Mountbatten saw that pragmatism, didn't he? Called him refreshingly free of complexities.
Compared to Nehru and Gandhi, yes. Mountbatten recognized Patel as a realist.
And this realism showed when he took over the States Department in June 47, his first big move.
Appointing V.P. Menon as secretary. Immediately. Even though Nehru apparently favored someone else, that decision kicked off their crucial partnership.
Tell us about that Patel-Menon dynamic.
Patel treated Menon like an equal, which was significant. Their personalities really complemented each other. Patel's authority, Menon's, bureaucratic genius and drafting skills.
And their strategy became clear pretty quickly.
Yes. In that policy statement from July 5th, 1947, mostly drafted by Menon, it appealed to the prince's common interests, but with a clear underlying warning.
The warning being?
Cooperate or face anarchy and chaos. It was that classic velvet glove, iron fist.
And Patel wasn't afraid to show the iron fist, like with that advisor, Cornfield.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
When Cornfield was seen as encouraging states towards independence, or when the Nizam of Hyderabad tried to grab Bastar, Patel was firm. He said the people's interests would not be bartered away.
The people came first.
Always. For Patel, that was non-negotiable.
What about the smaller states, the ones that maybe weren't really viable on their own?
For those, Patel and Menon pushed for mergers with neighboring provinces, often using the leverage of potential popular uprisings, or, if needed, direct intervention.
Like in Orissa and Chhattisgarh.
Those were early examples, yes. Patel had this image for Kathiawar, although little pools of water, joining to form a big lake. Unity was the goal.
And he could be quite forceful about it, like in Madhepharat.
Definitely. He insisted on one single union there, warning he would not tolerate any opposition. He expected compliance.
Okay, let's get into the really tricky ones, the three big cases. Junagadh first.
Right. The Nawab ceded to Pakistan, even though it was surrounded by India and had a majority Hindu population. Patel's reaction was swift.
Troops deployed?
Troops deployed, the Nawab fled, they held a referendum, and the result was overwhelmingly in favor of joining India. Case closed, pretty much.
Then Kashmir. More complex.
Much more complex.
Yeah.
Patel was involved initially, especially after Junagadh stiffened his resolve, but Nehru took the lead later on. Patel famously, strongly disagreed with taking it to the UN.
The Insecurity Council comment?
Exactly. He preferred a more direct, decisive approach.
You're finally Hyderabad, the biggest fish.
Patel saw Hyderabad as a dagger into the heart of India if it stayed independent or hostile. Negotiations failed, they violated the Standstill Agreement, the Razakar militia caused chaos.
So military action became inevitable.
Patel had to persuade the cabinet, but yes, Operation Polo. Though they carefully called it a police action for public consumption about restoring order.
And Patel confronted the Nizam afterwards.
He did. Apparently, he was quite a dressing down. The Nizam pleaded for forgiveness and pledged loyalty.
Looking back, Patel's achievement seems almost unbelievable, unifying hundreds of states in just 2 years.
A bloodless revolution, as Menon called it for most states. Over 560 of them integrated relatively peacefully.
And the controversial privy purses, the payments to the rulers.
Patel saw them as a necessary compromise, a small price to pay for national unity and avoiding conflict. This often caused friction with Nehru, who was less keen on them.
But Patel's influence remained huge until his death in 1950.
Absolutely. And Menon promised to honor his work by writing about that period, which he did.
Okay, let's shift focus to VP Menon himself. You called him a pivotal figure, often overlooked.
Definitely overshadowed, but crucial. His backstory is incredible. Born in 1893, started work as a coolie, a laborer in the Kohler goldfields.
Really? From coolie
to Reforms Commissioner, the highest-ranking Indian civil servant in the British administration. An amazing journey.
And that journey must have given him a unique perspective.
Absolutely. Seeing the Maharaja's extravagance and the administrative mess up close convinced him they needed to put a stop to their nonsense, as he put it.
He wasn't one for mincing words, apparently.
Not at all. Known for his bluntness, but also for his excellent draftsmanship. That skill was vital for creating the actual legal documents of accession and integration.
He'd advised viceroys before, so he knew the system.
Inside out. Advised 3 of them. He thought the Cabinet Mission's 1946 plan was too complex, unwieldy. He actually argued partition was better than the risk of civil war, favoring 2 strong central governments. Very pragmatic.
Which brings us back to his appointment under Patel, his approach with the princes.
Masterful, really. A blend of tactics, some arm-twisting, veiled threats, yes, but also charm, persuasion, appealing to their self-interest.
And he knew how to use others, like Mountbatten.
Oh, definitely. He flattered Mountbatten, appealed to his ego and royal connections, basically recruited him to be the chief salesperson, the ambassador for the accession plan. Very clever.
Can you give some examples of his direct tactics?
Sure. With the Maharaja Patiala, it was blunt.
Okay.
Independent of us, you cannot exist. Simple reality check.
Okay.
With Travancore's influential Dewan, Sir CP, he appealed to his intellect, warned about chaos if they stayed out. More subtle.
And Jodhpur, when Jinnah made an offer.
Menon countered it, offered concessions, but also pointedly reminded the young Maharaja about geographical compulsions. You're surrounded by India. And for Rewa, a subtle threat about releasing the ruler's deposed father worked wonders.
He really tailored it each time. What about Kathiawar, all those tiny states?
He proposed a single union for 222 states. A bold move, but it got Mahatma Gandhi's blessing, which carried huge weight.
So the initial strategy was just accession on 3 subjects: defense, foreign affairs, communications.
Exactly. It was framed as a limited concession, a stopgap maybe, letting rulers keep internal control for a while. But the underlying goal, especially for Menon and Patel, was always full integration.
Why?
Because they believed many of these small states just weren't viable. They couldn't provide proper administration or democratic rights. Integration was seen as necessary for the people's welfare.
Let's talk about his relationship with Mountbatten. You said Mountbatten relied on him.
Increasingly so. Mountbatten initially might have sidelined him, but he quickly realized Menon was indispensable. Menon knew the states, knew Patel's thinking.
And Menon convinced Mountbatten to adopt his plan.
Yes, the so-called Menon plan. Menon knew Mountbatten's prestige and influence were vital to get the princes on board quickly, so he let Mountbatten champion it.
A bit of strategic ego-stroking.
You could say that. Patel and Menon strategically pandered to Mountbatten's desire for credit because it served the larger goal. Mountbatten presented it as his plan on June 3rd, 1947.
Did Nehru have issues with it?
Some initial reservations, reportedly, but he came around and approved it. The urgency was clear.
So, Menon's legacy. Tireless work, getting nearly all of the states to sign up incredibly fast.
Within weeks, mostly. And his books later provided such valuable first-hand accounts. He fundamentally shaped modern India, even if he's not always the first name people think of.
Now let's bring in Lord Mountbatten, the last viceroy, sent specifically for his persuasive skills.
That's right. Attlee gave him the job and unprecedented plenipotentiary powers. Plus, being the king's cousin didn't hurt his standing with the royalty.
What was his initial brief?
To aim for a unitary government covering both British India and the princely states. He was known for being meticulous, businesslike.
And his royal status helped with the princes.
Generally, yes. He had excellent terms with most, used his charm. Although, as you mentioned, some saw him more cynically, like a herdsman leading them to the abattoir. Depends on perspective, I suppose.
What about this Plan Balkan, his first idea?
That was his initial proposal, based on advice he was getting. It would have allowed states to become independent, effectively balkanizing India. Nehru hit the roof.
Understandably.
Absolutely. It would have been chaos. And this is where VP Menon stepped in again, drafting the alternative plan.
And convincing Mountbatten to adopt it.
Precisely. A pivotal moment.
How were Mountbatten's relationships with the Indian leaders? Nehru Patel.
Excellent with Nehru. Found him charming, admired his intellect, they had a good rapport. With Patel, it was more about mutual respect between pragmatists. They understood each other.
And Gandhi.
He worked to get Gandhi's goodwill. Gandhi even publicly stated Mountbatten wasn't to blame for partition, which was helpful for Mountbatten's image. His relationship with Jinnah, though, famously difficult.
Did Mountbatten initially grasp the complexity of the state's issue?
Not fully, by his own admission. He thought the lapse of paramountcy would actually simplify things by making them independent. He quickly learned from Congress leaders just how dangerous that view was to Indian unity.
So he switched gears, became the advocate for Menon's plan.
He did. He became the main salesperson, pushing for accession on those three key subjects: defense, external affairs, communications.
He also pushed for Commonwealth membership.
Yes, for both India and Pakistan. He felt it offered stability. He even helped smooth things over for Nehru regarding India remaining a republic within the Commonwealth.
You mentioned those receptions for rulers. Tell us more about that psychological effect.
It was quite theatrical, apparently. Mountbatten, the viceroy, would speak to a ruler, then personally pass them on to Menon, the key civil servant, who would then direct them to Patel, the political authority.
A clear chain of command.
Exactly. Showing the princes exactly where the power now lay. Very effective psychology.
And his big speech to the Chamber of Princes, July 25th, 1947.
Crucial moment, just weeks before independence. His goal was simple: persuade them all to accede before August 15th. He used everything: charm, logic, warnings.
What kind of argument?
Geographical compulsions you can't exist in isolation. Warnings of chaos, fearful prophecies, and humor, too. He famously told them, you cannot run away from the Dominion government, which is your neighbor.
Any more than you can run away from the subjects for whose welfare you are responsible. Powerful stuff.
Delivered with royal flair, making the stark choice clear.
He also used personal diplomacy, didn't he?
Yes, lots of examples. Persuading the Nawab of Bhopal, a major opponent, by promising temporary secrecy for his accession.
And stepping in with Jodhpur, when the Maharaja pulled a pistol on Menon?
An infamous incident. Mountbatten intervened, warned the Maharaja about communal trouble if he joined Pakistan, and apparently helped defuse the situation. They supposedly laughed about the pistol later, but it shows the tension.
He also engaged directly with Travancore's Diwan, but he had failures too.
Yes, notably Kashmir, where Hari Singh just couldn't decide. And Hyderabad, where his diplomacy failed to prevent the need for military action, he couldn't persuade the Nizam.
But overall, by late 1949, his mission with the states was largely successful.
Hugely successful in terms of accession. Almost all had signed up. He later even supported merging the smaller non-viable states, conveniently claiming it as his own idea sometimes.
Interesting. Okay, let's move to Jawaharlal Nehru, India's first PM. His background.
Privileged upbringing, educated in England, Trinity College, Cambridge, barrister, but deeply influenced by Gandhi, spent years in jail during the independence struggle.
And his core political belief.
Unwavering commitment to parliamentary democracy. Prison time was intellectually formative. He wrote his major works there. He respected Gandhi immensely, but differed on religion's role in politics, favoring secularism.
How did he feel about partition?
Initially, strongly against it. His vision was always for a united India. He saw plans like Plan Balkan as recipes for chaos and weakness.
But he eventually accepted it.
Reluctantly, yes, by April 1947. The key condition was that Pakistan shouldn't include parts of India that didn't want to join it. He was there at that crucial June 47 meeting where partition was formally agreed upon.
And his role in the state's integration. Patel took the lead, but Nehru was involved.
Patel headed the States Department, but the decision was made jointly by Nehru and Patel. They agreed Patel was the right man for that specific, tough job.
What was Nehru's general view of the princes?
Very critical. Steadfast opposition to princely India and monarchy. He believed their time was up. The destruction of the princes was bound to happen.
Shaped by personal experience.
Yes, being imprisoned in states like Navaja and Faridkot hardened his views. He tended to talk down to princes, pushing hard for democratic reforms within their territories.
He saw India as one indivisible entity.
Absolutely. The entire geographical entity was sacrosanct. He declared states that refused to join the Constituent Assembly as hostile. No compromise on unity.
Did he approve Menon's three-subject accession plan?
Yes, he did. He saw the practical necessity of that strategy to bring the states into the fold quickly.
Now, Kashmir. A special case for Nehru.
Very much so. He had deep personal and emotional connections to Kashmir. He wanted swift accession, working closely with Sheikh Abdullah.
The plebiscite issue is complicated, though.
It is. He initially seemed open to it, like in Junagadh, but then avoided it in Kashmir. Why remains a subject of debate, a mystery, as some sources put it. He eventually took direct control of Kashmir policy from Patel.
Leading to Sheikh Abdullah's imprisonment.
Yes, controversially. Though Nehru later ordered his release, it was a complex and fraught situation.
What about his role in Hyderabad?
Initially, like Mountbatten, he hoped to avoid using force. He accepted the Standstill Agreement, hoping it would buy communal peace.
But his stance hardened.
It did, as reports of violations and secret arms deals by Hyderabad grew. While he privately and publicly wanted to avoid conflict, he ultimately allowed Sardar Patel to make the final decisions on the military action.
And after the police action?
He agreed with Patel's pragmatic decision to let the Nizam continue as a constitutional figurehead, the Raj Pramukh.
So even when Patel was leading, Nehru's backing was important.
Crucial. His symbolic presence and support mattered hugely. He attended inaugurations of new state unions, like Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh, lending the prime ministerial authority to the process.
He seemed surprised himself by the speed of it all.
He did. He reflected in late 1948 that even he, being so close to it, would have hesitated to say that such rapid changes would take place. He knew it was a defining moment in India's history.
Right, one last key figure, K.M. Munshi, lawyer, activist.
And politician, born 1887, influenced by Aurobindo early on. Like Patel, he was initially hesitant about Gandhi, but became a follower during the Bardoli Satyagraha and Dandi March.
What was his main focus?
He was a strong constitutionalist, very active in the Constituent Assembly, and a fierce advocate for Akhanda Hindustan, undivided India.
So opposed to partition.
Vehemently, campaigned ceaselessly against the Muslim League's separatist politics. He even tried reasoning with Jinnah, but found him committed to partition. His views were often very close to Patel's.
Did he have experience with the princely states?
Yes, he was educated in Baroda state, so he knew their systems. He advised rulers to join the Constituent Assembly and was even a constitutional advisor to Udaipur.
He was involved in drafting some early integration plans, too.
Indeed. He drafted a covenant for a potential United Deccan States Union, even before Patel's main policy was fully formed. He also drafted the provisional government setup for Junagadh after the Nawab fled.
And came up with the name Matsya Union.
Yes, for that union of 4 states, Alwar, Faridpur, etc. He believed strongly in a strong center to protect the nation.
But his most critical role was in Hyderabad.
Undoubtedly. Sardar Patel personally asked him to be India's agent general there in late 1947. A very tough, dangerous assignment.
Why so difficult?
He was essentially isolated, a prisoner in his own house, facing hostility from the Nizam's government and the violent Razakars. They refused to implement the Standstill Agreement properly.
His interactions with the Nizam were unproductive.
Completely. The Nizam's government seemed more interested in delaying and expanding its options rather than fulfilling the agreement.
So Munshi's reports were crucial.
They were vital intelligence for Delhi, detailing the escalating Razakar violence and the Nizam's intransigence. They highlighted the breakdown of law and order.
And after the police action,
The Nizam summoned Munshi and announced his government was resigning. Munshi then made a key radio broadcast to the people of Hyderabad, reassuring them about India's secular nature and their future.
Patel praised his work highly.
Very highly. Praised his devotion to duty under extreme pressure and disadvantage. Munshi went on to have a distinguished career as a minister, governor, and co-founder of the Swatantra Party.
Okay, let's try and connect the dots here. We have these 5 very different individuals.
Patel, Menon, Mountbatten, Nehru, Munshi. Distinct personalities, different skills, sometimes clashing views.
Yet somehow, they collectively pulled off this incredible feat of nation building.
It's fascinating. You see Patel's pragmatism charm one minute, fury the next. Menon's detailed planning and tactical genius. Mountbatten's use of royal influence and persuasion.
Plus Nehru's overarching democratic vision, even if he wasn't always in the weeds.
And Munshi's constitutional knowledge and bravery on the ground in Hyderabad. It really was, as you said earlier, a symphony of strategies.
What really strikes me is the speed. You keep coming back to it. Over 500 states integrated in basically 2 years. What does that tell us?
It speaks volumes about the urgency they felt, the immense political will, but it also raises a deeper question, doesn't it? Beyond the leaders, what allowed such rapid change?
What do you think?
Well, certainly those geographical compulsions Mountbatten talked about were real, but also, I think, the growing popular demand for responsible democratic government. Many people in the states wanted change.
So the leaders tapped into that popular feeling.
They leveraged it. The carrot and the stick approach worked partly because the alternative offered by India democracy, stability, was increasingly attractive compared to autocratic rule in many smaller, struggling states.
So what's the takeaway for us today, looking back at this?
For me, it shows that even incredibly fragmented situations that look almost hopeless, can be resolved. It takes clear vision, yes, but also that strategic collaboration, decisive action when needed.
And maybe a bit of luck.
Perhaps a bit of luck, and certainly an understanding of the underlying forces at play, like popular aspiration. It's a powerful lesson in how a nation can actually be forged.
So we've journeyed through how this fractured subcontinent was stitched together, not just by grand speeches, but by that relentless, often unseen work.
Absolutely. The detailed negotiations, the drafting, the political maneuvering by Patel, Menon, Mountbatten, Nehru, Munshi. It's a story of vision, yes, but also sheer execution.
The integration of the princely states, it really stands out, doesn't it? One of the most complex, rapid political unifications anywhere.
It completely redrew the map, creating the unified India we recognize today, a truly transformative period.
And for you, our listener, we hope this deep dive gives a fresh angle on how modern India came to be. As you think about it, here's something to consider.
How much of India's identity today, its internal dynamics, its strengths, and maybe even its fault lines, are still shaped by the specific deals, the pressures, the compromises made during those intense 2 years after 1947.
It's a historical echo, isn't it? Still resonating.